Yeah.
Liberals are lashing out after losing big at the Supreme Court.
Ain't that Kelly that's not Kelly McEnany. What's her name? This isn't Kelly McEnany. Which one is she?
Landmark rulings on student loans, affirmative action, and religious rights have radical Democrats acting like spoiled children who didn't get their way.
This far-right extremist imbalanced Supreme Court, which seeks to make history for all the wrong reasons.
They are basically reinterpreting congressional statute to fit their ideological preconceptions.
I support expanding the Supreme Court because we have a radical, extreme supermajority on the Supreme Court.
We need Supreme Court ethics reform, and we need term limits.
You really need to be having conversations about judicial review as a check on the.
Okay, that's Kelly Ann Conway. Thank you, KM Patriot. I appreciate that. That is Kelly Ann Conway. And this one right here is AOC.
You really need to be having conversations about judicial review as a check on the courts as well. There also must be impeachment on the table.
Every time the left are not getting what they want to put impeachment on the table. Yeah, impeachment should be on the table, but for your boss. That's who impeachment should be on the table for, especially with them finding in his office. He getting some little booger sugar so he can be able to stand up in front of the podium and then know where his seat is once he leaves the podium. Or so he can be able to sit down in a conversation that he's having with the news reporter and not walk out on them prematurely without people in his ear saying, no, Mr. President, you have to sit back down. You're not done with the conversation yet. They're still interviewing you. Oh, man, he's walking away. Someone get the president. Someone get the president.
We have a broad level of tools to deal with misconduct, overreach, and abuse of power.
Oh. And if AOC's ramblings weren't unhinged enough, Sopranos actor Michael Imperioli is coming under fire after posting this. I've decided to forbid bigots and homophobes from watching The Sopranos, The White Lotus, Goodfellas, or any movie or TV show I've been in. Thank you, Supreme Court, for allowing me to discriminate and exclude those who I don't agree with and am opposed to.
If you are forbidding from watching The Sopranos, bruh, that means that a great deal of the Democrats will not watch The Sopranos, okay? And the homophobes, what the holy hell are you talking about, man? Okay, because I used to watch The Sopranos, and I don't want to say anything mean about the dude. I think he was pretty cool in the show, but a lot of times these people from Hollywood are just far removed from reality. Far removed. Everything about them is script, even their lives. So when they see other people wanting to play roles in the country, ooh, I'm a man today. I'm a woman today. I'm both. I'm neither. They endorse this. They celebrate these roles that people are playing in real life because it makes them think of the good old days in Hollywood when they used to play roles. And it sucks. It's stupid as hell, in my opinion, man.
Maybe he could benefit from some mindful breathing and not ending sentences in prepositions. Boston University Law School students are being offered therapy in the wake of the Supreme Court rulings. Now, Judge, I just heard AOC use a term that has a great deal of meaning in this country's history. She said we have judicial review. Yes, in Marbury versus Madison in 1803, Chief Justice Marshall, writing for a unanimous Supreme Court, said that we have three co-equal branches of government, and judicial review means, and I quote, a law that is repugnant to the Constitution is void. It is the job of the Supreme Court. That's a judicial review here, not you reviewing the judiciary, AOC. Judicial review means the Supreme Court reviews laws and executive actions, like the one taken in the student loan case, and sees if it is compatible with the Constitution.
Look, these people have no idea. The people that we just heard from, one talked about reinterpreting congressional statute. They're very upset about that. Look, the Supreme Court has a job, and the job of the Supreme Court is to look at legislation that's brought up before them and decide whether or not it's constitutional or not constitutional. The fact that they don't like that is their problem. If you don't like it, go get another law passed. You're in Congress, AOC. You should know that. That's what you do every day, I think. And the whole idea of someone saying, well, you know, this is about the will of the people. I think it was Ayanna Pressley who said that one. Well, no kidding. The will of the people, 52% of them, was to overturn affirmative action. So you're wrong on that one, too. And by the way, as it relates to...
This lady is sharp. I think y'all told me before that she's a judge herself, or she was a lawyer. One of those. No, she was a judge at one point. Might still be. But she's sharp. I've listened to her talk before. I don't know how y'all feel about her, but I'm just now being introduced to her. And from what I've seen, I see that she's a pretty sharp young lady. For real. Not young lady. A seasoned lady.
Affirmative action. There was literally no congressional statute to interpret. So these people are clueless, and the idiocy stuns me.
Richard, I'm concerned about the assault on institutions when people don't like what happens with that institution at that moment. So we are castigating and denigrating the Supreme Court as being center-right. We should pack the court. We should have impeachments of certain justices. This actually was a mild reaction compared to the assassination attempt last year on Justice Kavanaugh while he and his wife and daughters were sleeping in their home. But what can we do to convince people, particularly members of Congress, whose job it is to make the laws? That's not the Supreme Court's job, to turn down the temperature. If you don't like the outcome, tell them to pass a law. Help us here.
I agree. I think we should be passing laws, and I think Congress should pass more laws so the Supreme Court doesn't have to interpret as much as it does. With that being said, I think when you look at some of the rulings that came down this week, I almost agree with the judge. I think we should really be having a conversation because, look, especially the affirmative action.
It was hard to say that, wasn't it? I almost agree with the judge. That was hard.
I wasn't. Listen, I might shock you at the end of the conversation.
I was waiting to see which judge exactly.
But listen,
my man that's talking right now, he is trying his best to say the right things. Man, just talk, bro. Just talk. I'm just. I know you don't stutter. You sound extremely intelligent when you speak. Just put it out there. Put it out there. If they got something against what you say, to hell with them. All right? What you're saying, as long as you're saying it with good intent, bruh, just say what you got to say. You ain't got to stutter or try to say the right thing. Like, you sound like Barack Obama. You know, when Barack Obama used to talk, he used to look away from whoever he was talking to, like down and to the left, and just stutter and whatever that is right there. Whenever you think about like he used to do that all the time, trying to focus so much on I better say the right thing. I better say the right thing. Well, if you say the right thing to the public, it's the right thing to them, but it wasn't the right thing to you. It didn't come from your heart. It didn't come from your actual intellect, and you was actually saying something that was scripted and coming from the puppet masters, the puppeteers who pretty much control what comes out of your mouth. Then that's not real at all. That's just my 2 pennies.
When you look at the affirmative action case, I think there's been a lot of bluster around who it benefits and who it doesn't benefit, right? Because I think the assumption out there is that somehow people of color are benefiting tremendously via this law, right? Harvard's black population is 6.6%. But there's some good news still happening today because there was a complaint filed by lawyers for civil rights against Harvard University going after their legacy program, which we know 40% of the students at Harvard University are there because either their parents went there or they're a millionaire and they're a billionaire and they can buy a building. And I think that is a bigger problem in the admissions process in this country than anything else.
Yeah.
And I would go a step further.
Honestly, I don't see that as a problem either. I know y'all gonna be mad at me. I'm just different when it comes to that. If your family has been able to position themselves and be extremely successful from the gate and then do it generation after generation after generation after generation, obviously they're doing something right. Did they have a head start? Absolutely. But I know people who've done well and just completely pooped the bed and did not have anything to leave their children. All right. What I'm basically saying is I look at this, their ability to be able to raise children within a nuclear family and teach them what they need to teach them and provide a covering for them and a soft landing spot for if their children go out there in the real world, try some things and they fall, they have somewhere for them to land. So I don't see nothing wrong with legacies. I don't see anything wrong with people being able to put their kids in a better position because their forefathers and their ancestors kicked some butt back in the day. I think that's great. I'm sorry. If this is the land of free, land of opportunity, people come here from all countries, all walks of life, so that they can find some success. And usually it starts here, their success. So I think that's absolutely awesome. Is it fair? No, it ain't fair. But I got 4 children. All of them went to college. Well, my last one is in college right now, just now starting. But I always told them whenever they cried about something not being fair, I'd be like, life isn't fair. But we got to do what we have to do in order to put ourselves in position so that we can win. And if you're not able to put that work in, if you're not able to focus, then you will lose. You will lose that position to someone who deserves it more than you, or to someone who's hustling more than you, or to someone whose parents grinded hard before we were able to get there. That's how life is. All right. So if you can't go to Yale, go to another school. You can't go to Princeton, go to another school. You can't go to Harvard, go to another school. That's how I look at it.
I think what you're also going to see after this affirmative action case is the beginning of the end of standardized testing, because I think with the SATs and the ACTs, it's another barrier to entry for not only African Americans and Latinos and Latinas, but also for poor people, right? Because a lot of folks now these days, kids are taking SAT prep classes in the 8th grade because they can afford to do it. So if you're poor and you can't afford to do it, you're sitting for a test that somebody's been preparing for 6, 7, 8 years, and that is indeed a barrier to entry. So if we're going to talk about leveling the playing field, let's not go after 6% of the student body at Harvard University. Let's figure out how we go after the 40% and make it actually fair and equal.
So what do you say?
I like that, bro. You made a lot of sense, man. I'm with you. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know about that part right there, because he really broke it down. Obviously, I gave y'all my side. Me, I'm a little bit more rough when it comes to it. I don't cry. I just say you roll up your sleeves and you go get it. Period. That's it. Roll up your sleeves, go get it. That's it.
Well, look, what about Jameel Hill? Let's pull that if we can. I mean, we see people talking about these outrageous quotes here. If we can read that. I mean, she's basically saying that the Asian Americans are complicit in white supremacy.
That they're carrying the water.
Trying to exclude African American students when they were just trying to be included based on merit. But look, Joey, let me ask you this. I'm very concerned, too, that we've got these dissents of snarkiness now. You have Justice Sotomayor, I think, and Justice Gorsuch going at it. And it's compelled Chief Justice Roberts to say, listen, there's a difference between disagreement, which we expect, and disparagement of each other. And he's asking them to calm down.
Yeah, real quick, I agree with you about giving poor kids more opportunity earlier on. And school choice is a great way to do that, to get them prepared. But to move on from that, also, let's not give Jameel Hill any attention. She just wants to make people hate each other. That's what she stands for. When it comes to the Supreme Court, I agree in this same spirit of kumbaya. I agree with Joe Biden and AOC on some of this. Number one, Joe Biden said he does not believe in packing the court. He thinks that'll just make it more divisive and make it more polarized. And I 100% agree with him on that. Unfortunately, his party doesn't. With AOC, I love any notion to bring more ethics to people of power. I really do. If you want to add it to the Supreme Court, or add more to Congress, or add more to the executive branch, or, especially when presidents and their sons go out and make deals with other people, like bring in ethics and ethics rules to people in power.
Joe, we might have an agreement. We can work on some Supreme Court ethics together.
And number two, I love the idea of term limits. I love the idea of term limits. I mean, somebody's falling asleep sitting there. Or do they have their faculties about them to be a Supreme Court justice? Well, do they also, that also applies to the presidency if you want to apply it to Supreme Court justice.
Hey, somebody said that the CEO of Rumble is live and he's going into lives and giving away 10,000. Yes, send him over here. Put in LFR family. Tell him to come over to LFR family, guys. Just tell him to come over here. Tell him, let's make up a story so I can be more of a victim. Does he give into that? Does he buy into victimhood? No, maybe. I don't know. It would be awesome if he come over here. But hopefully whoever he gives that 10,000 to, they can use it to help their families in some type of way, shape, or form. I believe that would be awesome. So whoever he gives it to. And to be honest, I don't even need it. I don't need it, but it would be awesome to have it, but I don't need it. Hopefully he gives it to someone who actually needs it. That'd be dope.
Do you have the faculties to be president? So a lot of these things they're throwing over at the Supreme Court, really they don't want to apply to, I don't know, the president. And so what does that mean? They expect more from the Supreme Court? Okay, well, I do too. So then I look and I say, if I'm going to expect more from them, then maybe I'll give them a little bit more respect. And then looking at these decisions, if I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to take issue with something as intellectual and academic as how the law works, I'm at least going to take the time to understand it. The actor said, well, now I get to be a bitch and tell you can't watch my movies. Well, the Supreme Court decision didn't say she gets to decide who looks at her website. She gets to decide how she expresses any point of view in her art, which means the Supreme Court reassured he never has to play a conservative in a movie.
Yes, that is true. And that's Christopher Montesanti for the Sopranos fans. And he's just wrong about what that case means. The court upheld its rationale that we don't compel speech. We don't compel speech by you that offends your religious beliefs in this case. But let's broaden this out. A year ago, after the Dobbs decision, people said the court was really bold in upending precedent, Roe versus Wade of 50 years. This year, the court was asked to overturn 6 cases and did not in any of those cases. So they basically agreed with the lower courts on a number of these seminal cases. How do you characterize the end of the term?
Well, look, I'm a little...
I have a question. Do you all still watch Fox News? Be honest with me. If y'all can answer that inside of the chat, that would be amazing. Could you let me know if you still watch Fox News? Because I know a lot of people who are right-leaning or on the right or far right stop watching for their own reasons. I guess because they was not really supporting the truth 100% anymore. So some people backed up off of it. But then here's the thing, and this is just between you and I. When I try to go listen to people like Dan Bongino, I think that's his name. Apparently his name is frowned upon in the YT. We got to go to what sources we can go to when we post the videos that we post on YouTube. But I do want to know, do you guys still watch it? No, I don't watch Fox, not really. I don't watch any television. Okay. All right. Well, I got some people who let me know that immediately. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate that. Just again, only reason why I'm listening to this is because I want to see how the liberals reacted to this whole affirmative action thing. And I really wanted more from AOC. I want to hear more from her for some reason.
This idea that there's supposed to be Democrats and Republicans everywhere, like we have them in Congress, you know, we don't need them in the judiciary. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say there shouldn't be any liberal judges. Am I out of line in saying that? The judges should be conservative.
Politics.
And the idea is that they should be without politics and they should interpret the Constitution like you said. So this idea that we're supposed to have balance, we're not supposed to have balance.
These
no Democrats and Republicans.
Supposed to read the Constitution. And it's the legislators who are raising the most grief. And they're the ones who are supposed to make the laws. They have power to do this.
I never thought about that before. The fact that the Supreme Court justice should not be tied to politics at all. They should just uphold the law. Simple and plain. That's their jobs. When it comes to politics, they should be removed from it all and just stick to what they need to stick to. And that's all. I think that's the grown-up way to do it, in my opinion. And I'm glad they even put that out there on the table. But I want to hear what y'all got to say about it. What do y'all think about that part? I know y'all don't watch Fox probably, but what do you think about that part? As far as he believes all justices, all judges should just be conservative, meaning not Republican, but conservative, meaning that they should stick to the law and whatever's in the Constitution, that's where they should go. No? Because I do know that based off of people's emotions that change from day to day, things are changing all over this country. And we are being forced to support certain things that we don't support, not naturally, not spiritually, not mentally, not emotionally, none of that. But if we don't, then we can lose our careers. We can be banned and kicked off of certain social media platforms. It sucks. And I would say this is the game we play, but to me, it's not a game. This is my life. You know what I mean? This is my children's lives. When they look forward to their opportunities or lack thereof, this is the stuff that's going to get in their way.